All right, my friends, just a few seconds before 8:30 on your Thursday morning, and buying a home in today's economy, well, it can feel overwhelming with rising costs and tighter budgets, leaving many wondering if home ownership is still within reach. But experts say it is possible, and it's about more than just knowing your numbers. So this morning, we are breaking down how to budget smart and buy with confidence in today's market. And joining us now for Real Estate Real Talk, we have real estate agent Alana Grant to help guide us through the process and share practical tips for making home ownership a reality. Yeah, we know that, wallets are a little bit tighter now, budget's a little bit tighter, but home ownership still very possible.
It is, and that's why I'm excited to explain these 3 tips that I would share with just about anybody, whether they're looking to buy their first home or whether they're looking to buy their next home. And so we've talked a lot about knowing your numbers. And so now I wanted to talk a little bit about managing your numbers. And so this will not be as cute of a conversation.
But we got to keep it real.
But we have to keep it real. And so I work with a lot of buyers who say that they don't have the funds for a down payment and closing costs. And a lot of times that's true. Thankfully, there are lots of programs out there for down payment and closing cost assistance, but you also want to really manage your numbers well. And so what does that look like? That looks like making more than what you spend. It looks like finding out what is necessary to spend and what is, just more enjoyable to spend, and finding that balance in between enjoying your money, but then also making sure that you're making really good investments with your money. And so part of that is your day-to-day thing. Eating out. Chops up a lot of budgets these days. Eating out, there are certain things like streaming, lots and lots of platforms. There's small expenses that kind of, they build on each other. And before you know it, you could be saving a couple $100s a month just by making smaller adjustments in your daily spending habits.
Absolutely. So it's not just about knowing your numbers, you have to manage them as well. All right, tip number 2 is you want to go ahead and think to the future. Think ahead. Talk about that one.
Yes. So a lot of people will think right in front of them. And I always encourage my buyers and my sellers to think ahead. Because when you're buying a home, normally you'll have like a 30-year mortgage. Some people do a 15-year mortgage. Some people buy cash. But when you are thinking that far ahead, folks are wondering like, well, what am I going to do? Am I going to be in this house for the next 30 years or for the next 15 years? And this one goes out to my millennial Gen Z buyers. I am encouraging folks to buy earlier than what they may think is necessary, because a lot of people use their home as a vehicle for retirement. When you think about generations before ours, they had pensions, they had, larger 401ks, and they had the means to be able to retire. They had Social Security. These things aren't necessarily guaranteed for our generations. And so we have to be a little bit more meticulous in how we're thinking and planning ahead. And so I say, for example, when you retire and you're on your retirement income, you do not want a mortgage. Right. You also don't want rent that will more than likely go up every, year or 2 or 3 years. And so you want to be able to live in a space that's manageable. The things that you have to have as a human, you need shelter, you need food, you need healthcare. Like all of these prices are going up. And so one thing that we can reduce is your shelter. We can reduce the cost of living to taxes and just maintaining the home if you don't have a mortgage. And so I use the example, if you plan on retiring by 65 and you want to have a 30-year mortgage, buy a home by the time you're 35.
That makes so much sense. And this one of the reasons why I love this segment is because it's not just about buying a house, but the benefits of what it can do for you long term, and thinking of buying a home as a investment into your future.
Yes.
All right, so you kind of touched on it a little bit with that first point, but we're going to talk about Wants versus needs. And I know it's another topic that we really don't want to dive into, but it's a critical conversation.
It is because you have the wants and needs versus in your budget, but then you have wants versus needs in your home. And so I tell people, think about what it is that you need in this home. Make a list. If you have an elderly or a differently abled family member, you need a house that's ADA accessible. That is a need. You do not need quartz countertops. You want quartz countertops. They look really pretty, but you do not need that in a home. But you can buy a home that's ADA accessible and then go in and get quartz countertops later on when it's affordable. Same with the bathrooms and kitchens, they really do sell a home. But when people are looking for homes, I'm always telling them, make sure that you're in a neighborhood that you like. Make sure that you are buying a home that has the more structural things that you need, enough bedrooms, enough bathrooms, but the finishes, what we talk about, making sure that you have a farmhouse sink, or making sure that you have a screened-in porch, or making sure that you have, the most ideal backsplash. Those are things that you can hire a contractor to come in and do later, and you can customize the home. You can get the home that you can afford and that meets all of your needs up front, and then make it your own home.
Yeah, so I love that. And so you really got to sit down and be honest with yourself, be honest with the situation that you are in, because you can, like you said, over time make those adjustments, but you can't pick up your house and move it.
Nope.
You
there
can't
are certain
do that.
things that are very staple with the house in this location does not change.
Exactly.
So, definitely hone in on the location, but the finishes, we can adjust that after closing.
Absolutely, because we're looking at the big picture here. I love that.
Picture.
All right, so such good information. If folks want to learn more, where can they find you at?
Yes, so my website, www.alanaismyrealtor.kw.com.
All right, my friends. And of course, we're going to put this interview on our website, WLTX.com. And this is just a little hope, a little encouragement that home ownership is not out of reach. We just might have to do a little tweaking here and there when it comes to things in our budget and figuring out what we want and what we need. And of course, staying on top of those finances.